Hey, it's Clarissa here, and in this video I have one purpose, and that purpose is to help students who struggle with studying because they have this thought, I don't feel like studying. I want you to stick around to the end of this video, specifically if you struggle with consistently following through with the things that you say that you're gonna do, if you struggle with taking action, because I'm gonna approach this whole I don't feel like studying and motivation in a way that no one else is talking about it. So if you're following any study YouTubers, any other study YouTubers, this isn't going to be your advice on breaking things down or changing your location or finding a study buddy or accountability person or using the Pomodoro method. This is going to give you the tools and the skills to really understand why it is that you can't get yourself to consistently study even when you don't feel like it. So if you're new to this channel and you have no idea who I am, my name is Clarissa. I am an academic life coach for working college students who want to earn A's without spending all of their time studying or spending their time thinking about studying when they should be with their friends or watching Netflix or dating their spouse, etc. I've been doing this work for 5 years, and time again, the thing that I see most students struggle with is their inability to get themselves to consistently study. They try everything that they're told, but for whatever reason, they just can't get themselves to do what it is that they say that they're going to do. And the way that this affects their life is that because of the fact that they're not studying when they say that they're going to study, it gets pushed back. This creates a ton of shame, it creates a ton of pressure, it creates a ton of stress, it creates a ton of anxiety, and ultimately what it does is that it affects the way that you're able to show up as a student. It affects your grades, and it also affects the way that you're interacting with the people in your life, because you're not able to be present with them because your mind is constantly on schoolwork. So what I'm going to teach you today is going to help you to get yourself to study even when you don't feel like it, and you're really going to understand the root cause. So when I work with college students, we use something that is called causal coaching. And what that means is, instead of treating the symptoms, and in the case of succeeding academically or struggling with your academics, those symptoms can look like procrastination. It can look like you staying up all night. It can look like you not studying even though you said that you were going to. Instead of focusing on like the typical hacks and tricks and apps that people tell you to use, what I help students with is understanding why it is that they're not able to get themselves to show up in the first place. So here's what you're going to need to understand. Our brain, the thing that you use to make a decision about whether or not you're going to study or not study, does not care that you want an A. It doesn't care that you have all of these academic goals, because that is not the purpose of your brain. Your brain is designed and programmed for survival. All it is motivated by is something called the motivational triad. Your brain cares about 3 things and 3 things only. It cares about keeping you safe by avoiding any sort of physical or emotional discomfort or pain. It cares about seeking pleasure, and it cares about conserving as much energy and effort as possible. Those are the 3 things that your brain is focused on a daily basis. How do I stay alive and avoid any sort of pain to myself? What can I do that's going to feel really good and keep me alive? And how can I be as lazy as possible and conserve as much energy as possible so that I can stay alive? The reason why this is super important for you to understand is because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to want to study. Your brain is going to fight you on the very thing you know is going to help you to have a better life, because I'm assuming that's the reason why you want a college degree in the first place, right? Because you want to get a better job, earn more money so that you can have a better quality of life. Your brain doesn't give a damn about the quality of life that you want to have. Your brain just cares about having a life. It just wants to keep you safe. So when you're getting told to download an app and to use the Pomodoro method, or change up your study location, or to break things down so you're not as overwhelmed, all of those things are great, but they're just masking the symptom. They're just dealing with the symptom. They're masking the underlying root cause. And that underlying root cause is this: everything that you do or don't do comes back to that motivational triad. Everything you do is because of the way that you want to feel. This is so important. Everything that you do is because of the way that you want to feel. So when you avoid studying, it's not that you don't want it bad enough. It's not that you're not motivated enough. When you're avoiding studying, it's because in the moment, you don't want to feel what you're feeling. It causes you discomfort. So you go and you watch Netflix, or you work on a different assignment for another class, or you scroll Instagram, or you find yourself on YouTube watching videos on how to motivate yourself, because that feels better than how you feel when you think about studying. And so you're searching for pleasure. You're looking for a way to make yourself feel certain about your ability as a student. You're looking for a way to feel smart. You're looking for a way to feel relaxed. You're looking for a way to feel like you're having the time of your life. And sometimes when we sit down to study, studying causes the opposite of those emotions. We feel uncertain in our ability to succeed in the class. We feel dumb. We feel overwhelmed by the amount of work that we have to do, or we feel bored with with the task that is in front of us. Studying is not pleasurable. It requires effort. And it, a lot of the times, can cause us emotional discomfort because we're being put up against our self-concept, who we believe we are as a student, especially when we're dealing with classes that are a little bit more difficult for us to grasp the content. And if you've been paying attention to what I've been saying in this video, then you understand that what I just described is literally what the brain wants to avoid doing. It goes against the motivational triad. So it's important that you understand that it's not entirely your fault when you don't feel like studying. It is not entirely your fault when you're not sticking to your study routine. And this is a breath of fresh air, because I want you to stop shaming yourself. I want you to stop blaming yourself. I want you to stop beating yourself up over the fact that you're not consistent with your study routine. It's not entirely your fault. Your brain is literally designed to make you do the opposite. But now that we understand that, now that you know what your brain is motivated by, we can use that information to help you give your brain a compelling reason to want to study. You have to help your brain understand that in the long run, doing this thing that's going to cause a short amount of discomfort and is not going to kill you, because your brain believes that. Your brain thinks that any sort of effort, difficulty, work is going to kill it. You have to help your brain understand that this is going to feel a little bit painful. This is going to feel a little bit boring. This is going to feel a little bit like work, but I promise you, you're not going to die. And at the end of this, the amount of pleasure that you're going to experience is like nothing you've ever experienced before. This is what I help the students that I work with as an academic life coach do. I help to separate themselves from their brain. And the way that I do this is I explain to them that you are your highest self. You are your best version of yourself. And you also have a brain. Your brain only cares about keeping you alive. So when your best self, is telling your brain about all the goals that you have for yourself with your grades and graduating and the type of job it is that you want, your brain immediately wants to shut it down, because all it hears is, this is going to be a lot of work and we don't do work. This is your brain talking. Your brain's like, listen, that doesn't sound like it's going to be fun, so let's shut it down. Your brain's like, that sounds like we're going to experience a lot of emotional discomfort, and I am not about to go through that. So let's shut it down. It's you, your best self, against your brain. And what happens to most students is that they over-identify with their brain. They think they are their brain. You are not your brain. You are not your thoughts. You are separate. You are whole. You are this completely amazing person with all of these goals and aspirations for yourself, and you're going to achieve all of it, but only if you can learn to separate yourself from your brain. And there is a tool that I help my students use in order to do this, and it's called the thought model. I did not create this. It is a coaching tool that I use inside of my academic life coaching practice to help my students really uncover what is keeping them from consistently following through with their study schedule, so that they can really fix the root cause. Because if you fix the root cause, it's going to change everything else. But what most students want to do is they want a quick fix and a quick app, and to change their study location and to make it pretty, because they think all of that is going to it's going to correct the problem. But they don't even know what the problem is. You have to understand what the problem is in order to really solve it. And this tool that I'm about to walk you through helps you with that. So this is called the model. It was invented by Brooke Castillo, and it's based off cognitive behavioral therapy, but it's a coaching tool. We have our circumstances. So these are the things that are happening to us. It's not our story about it. It's just what is happening. It's the facts of what you're experiencing, right? I have 3 papers to write by Friday. That's the situation I'm dealing with. My professor gave me an F on my exam. That's the situation we're dealing with, okay? So you have things happen to you. And in the sense of, I'm going to keep this focused on the theme of this video, which is, I don't feel like studying. You think I don't feel like studying is a circumstance. You think it's the situation you're dealing with. That is not a situation. That is your opinion. That is your thought about the circumstance. The circumstance probably is, I have to read chapter 7. I have to take notes for chapter 8. I have to complete 10 math problems. I have to work on this lab assignment, or lab assignment due Friday, exam on Sunday. Whatever it is the situation. The situation triggers a thought in your mind. And your thought is, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like studying. I also want you to understand, I don't feel like studying isn't actually an emotion. I don't feel like studying isn't actually an emotion, that's a decision. Really what you're saying is, I don't want to study. Okay, it's important that you make that distinction there. Okay, feelings are one-word emotions. Important for you to understand that difference there, okay? You have a thought about what you need to do. Your thought is, I don't feel like doing it. And when you think that thought, I want you to understand and be clear about what's actually happening here. When you have a thought about a situation, it causes a feeling, an emotion. And for a lot of students, when they think, I don't feel like it, the emotion that it creates is rebellious, it's resistance, it's anxiety, That's the emotion. Your feeling, your emotion that you created by what you were thinking about the situation drives your action. Because remember what I said about the brain. If the brain experiences any emotional or physical pain, it's going to shut it down. It's going to run the other way. And it's going to try to seek pleasure and seek not putting in any effort to change the situation, because that's what your brain is wired to do. So if you are creating an emotion that causes your brain discomfort by what you're thinking, you're going to run away from that situation. So this is where you find yourself in the act of procrastinating. And procrastination looks different for a lot of people. It can look like doing laundry when you should be reading. It can look like scrolling Instagram when you should be working on your math problem. It could look like working on a different class when you know you should be writing that paper. Okay? And what you choose to do and not do, the actions you choose to take or not take, they're going to create a result. And that result is going to be not doing well on your exam, not getting the paper written in time, not following through on your schedule. The things didn't get done, the things got pushed back, the grade didn't happen, etc. Okay? And this all happened because you looked at your situation, the things on your to-do list, and you created a story about it. And your story was, I don't feel like it. That was your brain. Your brain was like, yeah, we ain't doing that. And you identified with your brain. You believed that. You were like, yeah, I really don't feel like studying. You actually thought that that was true. Instead of seeing it for what it is, it's just a thought. But that thought created an emotion. And that emotion had you either running away from the situation, resisting the situation, hiding from the situation. And because you hid, because you resisted, because you ran away, you now created the very thing that you don't want. Okay, this model that I use with students, it can also be called the self-fulfilling prophecy model. And I'm going to show you why in a second. So we're dealing with the circumstance again. So the circumstance, this is the situation that we're dealing with. This is what's happening, is study. You have to study, whatever that study looks like, reading notes, whatever it is. You have a thought about it, and your thought is, I don't feel like it. And remember what I just said. I don't feel like it. It's not really a feeling. What you're really saying when you say I don't feel like it is you're making a decision, and your decision is I don't want to study. When you think I don't want to study, that creates an emotion, a feeling. And for this example, I'm using the feeling of rebellious. It's like a little kid. I don't want to do it. You might be feeling whiny. You might be feeling defiant. Whatever the emotion that comes up for you when you think I don't feel like it is what you want to write down here. And for this example, I'm using rebellious. When you're feeling rebellious, remember again that our emotions drive our actions. Rebellious to the brain doesn't feel good. So it's going to try to avoid it, resist it, run away from it. And the way that it does that is that you might go and end up watching Netflix. You might work on another class or do laundry. You think about studying, but you don't actually study. You complain to anybody who will listen about how you don't want to study and why it's so stupid, etc. You don't create a plan to get it done. You judge yourself for not doing it and not being motivated and not being able to stick to your study routine. And the result of all of those actions is you do not make studying desirable to your brain. You don't give yourself, or you don't create reasons for why you actually want to study. And so because of that, you get to keep your original story, which is that you don't feel like it and you don't want to. So this is where you stay in the cycle time and time and time again. This is the real reason why it is so hard to get yourself to take action. It is all because of how you're thinking, and that is your mindset. When I work with students, the thing that we focus on more than anything, like 80% of the time, we're focusing on dealing with their mindset, really managing their mindset, understanding what is going on in their brain that is not allowing them to show up the way that they want to show up as a student. And only 20% of our time is focused on study skills, because let me let you in on a little secret. Everything works. Every note-taking style you've ever heard of works. Every study process that you've ever heard of works. The reason why it's not working for you is because you're not doing it consistently. You can't get yourself to do it consistently. And the reason why you can't get yourself to do it consistently is because how you're feeling. Because your feelings drive your actions. And what you choose to do or not do every day is going to create the type of semester that you have. And our feelings come from our thoughts, which is our mindset. So if you really want to become the type of student that when she says she's going to study, when she says she's going to achieve a goal, she does it, you really need to double down on learning how to manage your mindset. And that is something that I do and teach inside of my program called Study School. But I do, if you stuck around to the end of the video, I want to let you know that I have a free masterclass that's called How to Earn Straight A's Without Studying All of the Time. And in it, I talk you through the 3 mindset shifts that you need to make as a student to go from feeling like you don't have any time, or that you're studying all the time and it's not getting you the grade it is that you want, to earning straight A's while having study-free weekends. And you can sign up for that workshop. The link will be inside of the description box here on YouTube. In my next video, what I am going to talk to you about is, now that you understand how your brain works and the model, how do you go about starting to change your mindset? I'm going to talk about the things that I walk my students through, the tools that I walk my students through to help them to go from not doing what they say that they're going to do to consistently showing up for themselves. So I hope that you come back and watch that video, which will be up next week. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.